America watched in horror. A peaceful summer evening, a sea of red, white, and blue, then the deafening crackle of gunfire. The idyllic scene at Donald Trump's rally in Butler, Pennsylvania was shattered in an instant. A lone gunman, driven by hate and armed with deadly intent, sought to silence a movement. But he underestimated the resilience of the American spirit and the unwavering courage of Donald J. Trump. July 13th, 2024 will forever be etched in our memories. It was a day that tested our nation's soul. As Trump addressed the crowd, a volley of bullets ripped through the air, sending shockwaves of panic and confusion. One life, that of a devoted Trump supporter and former fire chief, Corey Comparatore, was tragically cut short. 2 others were injured, their lives forever marked by this senseless act of violence. The gunman, later identified as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, had positioned himself strategically on a nearby rooftop, his target clear, his motive shrouded in darkness. Crooks' bullets were aimed not just at Donald Trump, but at the very heart of American democracy. The nation held its breath. Would justice prevail, or would darkness consume the land? Who was this individual who dared to unleash chaos upon a nation? Thomas Matthew Crooks, a name forever synonymous with cowardice and hate. As investigators delve into the depths of Crooks' past, a chilling portrait emerges. A young man consumed by anger and resentment, his soul poisoned by the very forces seeking to divide our nation. Details are still emerging, but the investigation paints a disturbing picture. Crooks acted alone, a lone wolf driven by an ideology of hate. His digital footprint, a trail of online activity, reveals a descent into the darkest corners of the internet. Extremist websites, forums dedicated to violence, and a chilling obsession with Donald Trump. The investigation into Crooks' motives is far from over, but one thing is clear: this was no random act. It was a calculated assault on our democracy, fueled by the venomous rhetoric that has poisoned our political discourse. Crooks may be gone, but the forces that created him still lurk in the shadows. We must confront them head-on. We must choose unity over division. We must choose hope over hate. In the face of danger, true leaders rise to the occasion. Donald Trump, never one to back down from a challenge, demonstrated unwavering courage and resolve in those terrifying moments. As chaos erupted around him, Trump's first instinct was not for his own safety, but for the well-being of his supporters. Eyewitnesses recalled Trump's demeanor as the Secret Service whisked him away from the stage. Calm, collected, determined. Even as the gravity of the situation sank in, Trump remained a beacon of strength for a nation reeling in shock. The would-be assassin sought to silence him. Instead, he amplified Trump's voice, his message, his unwavering commitment to the American people. The attack left Trump physically unscathed, save for a minor injury to his ear, a testament to the bravery of the Secret Service agents who put their lives on the line. But the emotional toll of that day, the weight of a nation's hopes and fears, is a burden Trump carries with him. It is a burden he bears with grace, with dignity, with the unwavering strength that defines his character. The events of July 13th unfolded in a blur of confusion and terror. Now, as the dust settles, eyewitness accounts are painting a chilling picture of that fateful evening. Ordinary Americans, united by their support for Donald Trump, suddenly thrust into an extraordinary situation. Sarah Miller, a young mother who attended the rally with her husband and 2 children, described the scene as something out of a nightmare. The sound of gunshots, the screams of terrified onlookers, the sickening feeling of vulnerability as people scrambled for safety. Yet, amidst the chaos, Miller also witnessed acts of incredible bravery. Strangers shielding one another from harm, first responders rushing towards danger without hesitation. The indomitable spirit of the American people shining through the darkness. John Thompson, a retired police officer who served his country with distinction, found himself drawing upon his years of training, guiding others to safety and providing comfort to those in need. It was like something snapped, Thompson recalled. One minute we were cheering, the next we were running for our lives. But even in the face of such terror, Thompson never lost faith. Faith in his fellow citizens, faith in the resilience of the American spirit. and faith that justice would prevail. Section 5. Justice will be served. Law enforcement launches full-scale investigation. In the wake of the attack, law enforcement agencies across the country sprang into action. The FBI, working in conjunction with state and local authorities, launched a full-scale investigation to uncover the truth behind the shooting. No stone will be left unturned, no question will go unanswered. The investigation is multifaceted, focusing not only on the shooter himself, but also on any potential co-conspirators or individuals who may have aided and abetted this heinous act. Authorities are meticulously piecing together a timeline of events, analyzing evidence from the crime scene and conducting interviews with anyone who may have information relevant to the case. The American people demand answers. They deserve to know how this tragedy could have happened and what steps are being taken to prevent such an act of violence from ever occurring again. The investigation into the shooting at the Trump rally is not just about bringing those responsible to justice. It is about safeguarding our democracy and preserving the very fabric of our nation. Political leaders denounce the attack. As news of the assassination attempt spread, shock and outrage swept across the nation. Leaders from both sides condemned the attack, offering prayers for the victims. The partisan divide faded, replaced by a shared sense of grief and unity. President Biden denounced the shooting as an attack on America's soul. He called for unity, urging Americans to reject hate and division. We are a nation of hope. We will overcome this. We will not be defined by this act of violence. Leaders emphasized that violence has no place in a democratic society. The shooting reminded us of the fragility of our democracy and the importance of unity. Section 7. The campaign trail forever changed, navigating the aftermath of violence. The assassination attempt on Donald Trump sent shockwaves through the 2024 presidential campaign, casting a long shadow over the race for the White House. The incident has forced candidates, strategists, and voters alike to confront the very real dangers of political violence and grapple with its implications for the future of American democracy. Security concerns have taken center stage, with campaigns across the political spectrum re-evaluating and bolstering security measures at rallies and public events. The days of casual meet and greets and impromptu town halls may be over, replaced by a new era of heightened security protocols and a more visible law enforcement presence. Beyond the immediate logistical challenges, the shooting has also sparked a broader debate about the tone and tenor of political discourse in America. Many are calling for a return to civility, urging candidates and their supporters to tone down the rhetoric and engage in more respectful and productive dialogue. The challenge now is to find a way to engage in passionate political debate without resorting to the kind of hateful rhetoric that can incite violence. Section 8. A time for unity, healing a nation divided. The attempted assassination of Donald Trump is not just a tragedy for the victims and their families, it is a tragedy for the entire nation. This act of violence has exposed the deep divisions and raw emotions that plague our society, reminding us of the fragility of our democracy and the importance of coming together as one nation. Now is the time for healing. Now is the time for unity. Now is the time to bridge the divides that separate us and rediscover the common ground that binds us together as Americans. We may disagree on policy, we may have different visions for the future of our country, but we must never lose sight of the values that unite us: freedom, justice, and the pursuit of happiness for all. The road ahead will be challenging. The scars of this tragedy will take time to heal. But we must not allow this act of violence to define us. Let us honor the memory of those who were lost by rededicating ourselves to the ideals that make America great. Let us choose unity over division, hope over hate, and love over fear. Section 9. Safeguarding our democracy, rethinking security in a volatile world. The assassination attempt on Donald Trump has exposed the vulnerabilities of our political system and the very real threats faced by public figures in today's volatile world. As we move forward, it is imperative that we learn from this tragedy and take concrete steps to safeguard our democracy and protect those who serve our nation. This requires a multi-pronged approach. We must enhance security measures at political events, utilizing advanced technology and intelligence gathering to identify and neutralize potential threats. We must also address the root causes of political violence, combating extremism, hate speech, and the spread of misinformation online. But most importantly, we must strengthen the bonds that unite us as Americans. We must reject the politics of division and demonization, choosing instead to engage in respectful dialogue and find common ground. The future of our democracy depends on our ability to come together as one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.